want to officially welcome you all to the Institute of Leadership and Strategy, where we are passionate about developing leaders and corporate executives. And so once again, you're officially welcome to the Institute of Leadership and Strategy.
Have you built a complete institution of the sort and resigned from it? And I always remind them, stepping back is part of leadership.
All I want to say is that we don't take this decision arbitrarily or based on intuition.
I felt very included in today's discussions. The lecturer today was also very exciting, very innovative, and he definitely kept the class alive.
The orientation, the delivery has been perfect, and I am so excited.
Naturally, systems are evolving, organizations are evolving, and you cannot afford to remain static. You need to be strategic in your approach in solving problems.
The first day has been very impressive. I've met a number of people already. I think that this environment creates the right opportunity to network with people of like-mindedness and also, connect business-wise.
Distinguished executive strategy leaders, industry captains, and of course, fellow professionals, we would like to warmly welcome all of you. In our traditional parlance, we say Akwaba. Tonight, it's not just an inauguration of an association, but we are activating a movement that will dictate the pace and the direction of this country and the continent as a whole.
This evening is a response to a simple research document I came across. And that Boston Consulting Group's research sought to suggest that managers at the lower level have as much as 72% of them not understanding or appreciating what strategy is. And we felt that we could respond to that gap, that shortfall. That is our greatest motivation for bringing together practitioners of strategy to advance the cause of strategy practice, particularly in corporate Africa. By developing managers and professionals and executives in strategy, from strategic leadership to strategic planning to strategy development to control. That is one key thematic area we don't joke with in the executive class, strategic control. At this juncture, we want to do a launch of the professional association. Officially, the name is Strategy Professionals Ghana.
4, 3, 2, 1. This is SPG.
We are looking forward to having organizations build giant businesses in Africa. And we thought that one of the greatest tools we could use to do that is when there is key strategy knowledge among leaders who drive these organizations.
All right, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and to all our distinguished listeners. It is an honor to welcome you all to our high impact webinar, which is the ILS webinar series, the February edition, proudly brought to you by the Institute of Leadership and Strategy. And today we are going to be discussing a subject that is very key to every winning organization, which is building a winning strategy in emerging markets. I am Iraja J. Crying, and I would be your moderator for this session. Would also want to know who is joining us on the call. So if you can kindly indicate in the comment section your name and where you're joining us from. We just want to know who is on the call. We want to get interactive with our listeners and audience. And so kindly indicate, and then let's get to know who is on the call. And then we move on just as we usually do. So we'll take a few, and I can see Grace Burama here. She says hi. Hi, Grace. Good to see you on the call. We have Festus Beidu joining us. Festus, hi. Good to see you. We have Judith Boama. You are welcome, Judith. We have Martha Kwashi. It's good to see you, Martha. Thank you for joining. We have Evelyn. We have Priscilla. Thank you all for joining. Bernard Yaokoda says, hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Bernard, and thank you for joining today's webinar. We have Desmond Dake. Good afternoon, Desmond. Thank you for joining. Stephen Ofori, thank you. We can see a lot of comments coming through. Thank you all for joining our session today. Kelly Annan says, good to see you all. Good to see you too, Kelly. Thank you for joining. Joseph Quentin Mensa, he says, hello from Winneba. Wow, thank you so much for joining. Andrew Ajiman, he says, I'm connecting. Hello, and from Connect Energy. All right, sorry. Thank you for joining, Andrew. Thank you. We see a lot of comments coming through. We are glad that you joined us this evening to have this impactful webinar and to have this very interesting conversation. And because this conversation is very key to every winning organization. And so thank you all for joining. As time goes on, we'll be taking your comments, and so you can keep dropping them in the comment section. I'll come back later to the comment section to take your comments and your suggestions as well. All right, so we are meeting this evening at a time where emerging markets are no longer the next opportunity. They are the growth engine of the global economy. And for managers and executives who are joining us on the call this evening, the question is no longer whether to compete in emerging markets, but how to build a strategy that wins amid uncertainty, complexity, and constant change. And so, what separates organizations that scale successfully from those that struggle is not luck. It is clarity of vision, disciplined execution, and the ability to turn constraints into competitive advantage. And so this afternoon, we are privileged to learn from a leadership and strategy expert. And with his rich experience in corporate and strategic advisory, he'll be taking us through some deep insights on today's topic. And so, on behalf of the Institute, we want to welcome you all once again to today's conversation. We are hoping that today's conversation is going to be very inspiring and that we will all leave here taking a few notes to thrive in our various fields and organizations. And so let's try to make this interactive. Let's try to learn from each other. You can drop our questions, our comments in the comment section. If you have any questions, your comments, your suggestions, kindly drop them in the comment section. And then as time goes on, I'll be engaging the speaker when he's done with this presentation with your questions. The speaker is going to have time to address our questions. And so if you have any questions or any add-ons, you drop them in the comment section, and then we will engage your speaker with your comments. All right, so we just want to dive straight into business for today. I'll be bringing in our speaker who will be giving us a presentation on the topic, after which we have our Q&A session. So before I hand over to our speaker, I'll be reading his profile, after which I bring him in to take over for today's session. All right, so our speaker for today is in the person of Dr. Sam Watkins for Segla. He is a lecturer, a certified strategy professional, a corporate trainer, a chartered management consultant, researcher, and an alternative dispute resolution practitioner with over 12 years combined experience in the areas of management and leadership, corporate strategy development and implementation, corporate governance, business development, international business, training and development, monitoring and evaluation, market research, project management, as well as alternative dispute resolution. He has consulted for a number of corporate institutions, including a significant number of startups within West Africa. He has also facilitated continuous professional development trainings for many corporate institutions in Ghana and served on 6 boards within the past 8 years. In addition, he has coordinated and supervised a number of projects successfully. Samuel is a member of the Institute of Directors Ghana, Chartered Institute of Management Consultants Canada, Fellow of the Higher Education Academy UK, member of the American Evaluation Association USA, member of the Institute of Monitoring and Evaluation Practitioners Ghana, and Associate Fellow of the Boardroom Institute Ghana. He is also a member of the Ghana National Association of ADR Practitioners and the Global ADR Register. Additionally, he is a member of the African Corporate Governance Network. He is the managing consultant of Kisam Consulting Limited and a lecturer at the Ghana Communication Technology University. Ladies and gentlemen, our facilitator for this session in the person of Dr. Sam Watkins for Segla. Good evening, Doc, and good to see you this evening. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, Radwa, and good evening, everyone on the call.
Good evening.
All right, so you are all welcome once again. As Iradwa said, we are here this evening for a conversation on building a winning strategy for emerging markets. And so we'll spend a few minutes going through the presentation, and afterwards we will take your questions. So we will look at the emerging market landscape. We'll look at entry strategies, risk management, a framework for expansion into emerging markets, how to localize your products for emerging markets, and then we'll take a few lessons from that and look at how we can navigate through all the complexities. So what then is an emerging market? There are different angles from which we can look at the concept of emerging markets, but we want to look at just 3 characteristics for this evening. If you look at the economic dynamism, for instance, then we can say they are markets characterized by accelerating GDP growth, rapid industrialization, and transition from low income to middle income status with evolving capital market institutions, which means that emerging markets are markets that have gone beyond what we call frontier markets or developing market status, but they are not yet advanced. They are on their way towards becoming advanced economies or markets. So their characteristics are somehow at a point closer to that of developing markets because they still share some characteristics such as infrastructure and the rest. But in terms of production and growth, they are far above developing markets. And if we look at it from the way of classification, then we can say they are separated from frontier markets, which I mentioned earlier. Frontier markets are smaller, less liquid, and riskier. And developed markets are the ones that are mature, stable, and growth levels. So we can say that emerging markets are the ones that hold a lot of potential because that is where a lot of growth is occurring currently. A lot of manufacturing production takes place within developed emerging markets, and they hold a lot of potential. They also have a growing number of the middle class population, and these are the people who have a lot of disposable income to spend, and businesses will normally go to where the money is. The strategic anchor here is that the defining challenge is the absence of specialized intermediaries and contract enforcement mechanisms found in developed markets. So if you want to succeed in emerging markets, then you'll be required to fill these gaps, which will then help you to tailor your needs to the emerging markets and also explore distribution channels and creative financing means to help you succeed in these markets. So quickly, in order to strategize for emerging markets, there are a few things that you need to do. First one is market analysis to help you gain insights into trends and developments within that market. After that, you need to leverage your local business networks in those economies to help you strategize carefully. Then you would also have to pay closer attention to consumer behavior in these economies or in these markets. Then you cannot do away with innovation because innovation plays a critical role if you want to succeed. Let's begin with some market analysis and look at what is happening in the emerging market landscape currently. For the year 2026, emerging markets are characterized by resilient growth, rapid digital acceleration, and increasing regionalized supply chains. What it means is that there's a lot of opportunity in these markets, and any business that is looking towards expanding beyond its national borders will have to be looking out for this. The winning playbook here is to achieve scale in mass segments through end-to-end localization, frugal innovation, and empowering local leadership with fit-for-purpose partnerships. So you would have to explore partnerships in these economies. You would have to look at what is happening, what the needs are, and then if there are credible institutions or companies within these markets, that you will have to explore partnerships with them. The next thing that you need to also pay attention to currently is the entry strategy choices. There are various choices available. Talking about exporting, licensing, franchising, greenfields, we'll be talking about some of them shortly. You would have to look at all of these mergers and acquisitions. These partnerships, including joint ventures, will help you know, and we'll look at when you need to explore each of these, because you cannot just choose one of them because you like that one. The situation at hand, the realities will determine which one will be most appropriate for you. Then we talk about risk-adjusted execution. This requires robust analysis of your political, your economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental frameworks. And this will help you to know what is happening there, because you cannot formulate a strategy without first looking at your environment. Again, you have to look at strict forex and liquidity controls. And then regulatory readiness, because there are regulations, there are standards in each of these markets that you would have to comply with. So you would have to look at all of these before you move on. So understanding the emerging markets in 2026, we are still looking at this: economic shifts, productivity tailwinds, green transition, capital dynamics. Emerging markets hold a lot of prospects for businesses that look forward to expansion, as I mentioned earlier. And over the years, and currently in 2026, they are still doing well. They are performing better than even advanced economies. Again, AI is playing a critical role in the expansion of emerging markets. So if you are looking towards going to any of these emerging markets, you have to pay critical attention to AI integration. Then another thing that everybody's attention now is green transition. There's a swift movement from to renewable energy sources and infrastructure development. So you have to look at things that fall within this area because global investments are tailored or are moving in this direction. Green transition, AI integration and adoption, and then capital dynamics. The strategic implications for all these things happening within the emerging market situation is that you would have to adopt segment-specific strategies. And then there's also rise of B2B infrastructure, business to business infrastructure. The opportunity is now shifting from pure consumer tech to individual digital and B2B digital solution. So you would have to explore areas within. Then there's also sovereignty as a strategy. What it means is that you cannot just look at a region as a whole. You would have to look at local laws, local regulations that pertain, and every nation is a sovereign state. So irrespective of what you do, you need to pay critical attention to the regulations in those countries in order to market. Now, the takeaway from this is that market entry must be hyper-localized and structurally aligned with national developmental agenda. So any country you are going to, you would have to look at what their development plan is. In Ghana today, for instance, we are talking about 24-hour economy. You would ask yourself, what are the prospects within this 24-hour economy framework that you can take advantage of? If you go to another country that falls within the emerging markets category, then you would ask yourself, what is the national development agenda and what are the prospects so that you can tailor your strategy to help you gains within these emerging economies. Still on emerging markets, we are just trying to understand the dynamics, the environment of emerging markets to help us know how we can take advantage of this in terms of strategy formulation. So if you take Asia Pacific, China, India, and the rest, you see that a lot of things are happening. You would have to be a niche player. Things that you need to focus on. Latin America is different. Europe, Middle East, and Africa, different. Central Europe is also different. And these are all happening. There are growth prospects in each of these. You would have to study each of these regions to ask yourself, what is happening here? What are the dynamics involved? And how do I take advantage of this? So you may be doing a particular business in your home country, let's say Ghana. You want to expand into an emerging economy. The key question will be, what is happening currently within that economy? What are the prospects? What are the region-specific dynamics? And what is the country-specific dynamic within that region to help me formulate my strategies? Else, you would just sit down, use a Ghana standard, formulate strategy that would not be in tune with the country you are looking at. Next, please. So market size and growth projections in this emerging economy. It is projected that by 2028, emerging markets will drive about 65% of global growth by the year 2028, and this will widen the gap with advanced economies. So if you look at the growth differential, then emerging markets are expected to grow by 2.6%. And this is against that of advanced economies. Emerging markets are projected to stabilize at 4.7%, whilst developed markets are projected to grow by 1.6%. That tells you that emerging markets hold a lot of potential, and about 150 million households are expected to join this middle class category. If you look at the graph on your screen, the dotted lines are for the advanced economies or the developed markets, and the red one is for the emerging market. It tells you clearly that going into the future, at least the next 4 to 5 years, emerging markets are going to grow faster than advanced markets, holding factors constant. The essence of all this is to let you know that things are happening within the emerging markets. And in order to advance into these markets, you need to pay closer attention to these dynamics to help you formulate your strategies if you want to win. Let's move on, please. So what is the implication of all these 2026 macro trends that we need to watch? The forces shaping the landscape are 5. Regionalization of supply chains. Manufacturing hubs in Asian, Latin America, and Central Europe and the rest are expanding as companies prioritize resilience over pure efficiency. So that gives you an indication that if you are looking at this region, this is what you should be looking at. Then infrastructure and green finance. I mentioned green transition earlier. Public and private investment is now moving towards the direction of green finance and green transition into energy and the rest. So businesses that are operating in these areas would have to position themselves, maximize the gains within this area. Then digital infrastructure is also one of the key things. AI integration, AI adoption, and all those things are driving investments. Then private credit, depending on banking, is expected to grow rapidly, and that will provide critical capital for SMEs and mid-market firms that traditional financial institutions will normally overlook. So all of these are to help us know that emerging markets hold potential. They are to help us know the direction of investment in these emerging markets going into the future, and that helps us to position our firms to take advantage of the benefits and opportunities in these emerging markets. Let's move on. Let's move on. So I spoke about digital transformation wave. I spoke about B2B marketing, and the rest I've already spoken about them. We can move to the next slide, please. So then the big question is, with all these dynamics that we have spoken about currently, how do we succeed in these emerging markets? I'm sharing 6 keys to success in these emerging markets to help us position ourselves strategically. Scaling, adaptation, the product itself, talent, growth, and then operations. We need to scale in mass segments. Due to the dynamics involved, you need to target regions, and in targeting the regions, you also pay critical attention to specific country needs. So that if you are looking at Asia, you ask yourself, in terms of green transition, what is happening across that region? If you are looking at Europe, if you are looking at Middle East, Africa, what's the direction? And that will help you know how to scale your business to meet those things. You need to also look at localized end-to-end products and services in terms of adaptation. You would have to now focus on specific markets within these regions and see how you tailor your products and services to meet the needs and demands of these markets, because customer tastes and preferences vary over regions, vary over countries and markets. So that if we take Coca-Cola in Ghana and we think it is sweet, when you move to the Arab countries, for instance, you see that there's more sugar in their Coca-Cola than what we take. That will give you an indication of how you are going to position your products to adapt to the needs of those markets. So you may be expanding your business into these emerging markets using the same products offering, but it may require you to vary the taste, the preferences, the packaging, and everything to meet the needs of that market. You also need to look at just beyond what is good enough, but look at what the people actually need. We have needs and then nice to haves. So the key question is, what do people need and what do they want in addition? So that in your pricing technique and in your product package and everything, you can segment that market and look at the critical needs based on your market segmentation and the income levels and the rest. Those that will be able to afford the certain price limits, you provide for them what they can afford. And those who want an advanced package, you can't do that. So innovation is going to play a critical role here. The key question is, are there firms already operating in those markets? And what are they offering to the market? What is it that the market is looking for that the existing firms are not giving them? And your ability to bridge that gap will give you an upper hand over the existing firms that are already operating in that market. So that when you are going with an added advantage, something that the market is looking for, and the companies that are already operating there are not able to give them at the moment. Then local leadership. You also need to look at the kind of people or caliber of people who are going to lead your business in that market. Traditionally, most firms will prefer taking people from their home country to lead some strategic sections of the business. Normally, they will choose the CEO, the chief finance officer, and someone else to go because your business is new. You want to protect your investment. But you need to also blend or balance that with the culture of the market you are going to. So it will make sense to select an HR manager from that market, that economy, because they understand their people better. They know the cultural dynamics involved. It is better you select people who are able to balance international standards with the local standards so that they are able to perform at a rate that your business will be able to well. If you select people who are locally minded and you take them from your home country to that market, they may be using your home country standards to run the business in that market, foreign market, and that may not help your business. So you need people who have global perspectives or international business acumen and are able to blend what your business interest is against the culture and the local realities of that market. So you will need a blend. Even if you are taking people from your home country, you need a good number of managers from the market you are targeting to help you settle quickly. Then you need disciplined partnerships. You are not just looking for partners in terms of joint ventures, mergers and acquisitions, or any other. You are looking for partners who are credible, they have good names, they have influence. It will make sense to select a partner who already has some distribution networks that you can rely on. In the absence of that, you are now going to invest into your own distribution networks in that country. But if you have a partner that already has this in place, you can fall on that partner and it will make things easier for you. Then you need an emerging market-centric operating model. You need to design agility. Make sure KPIs are designed and adopted. You have clear guidelines, you have clear expectations, productivity metrics that must be met, because going into another market requires a lot of financial investment. So you are careful at this point to put in control measures to ensure that your investments wisely and you are able to gain returns from your investment. Else you go and invest in a market, you leave things to chance, and then you will not get the required returns on your investment. Let's move on, please. So when it comes to entry mode selection, which I hinted earlier, there are things you need to consider before settling on an entry mode. So for instance, you are looking at speed to high markets. What does it mean? What is the strategic rationale for this? You are looking for a first mover advantage, something that will give you first mover advantage. You are looking for less control, or you are entering a market for the first time. You are not too sure of what will happen. In that case, you are careful not to move your physical presence there. What you would look at is to look for a distributor or an agent that is already operating there. Then they will now pick your products and distribute on your behalf until the market receives the product well and demand increases beyond what you are able to ship, then you say, let me go there and establish my production hub there. So you can look for a distributor. So this will take you through exporting, export your product from the beginning, look for an agent. But if the dynamics are such that you are ready to acquire an existing firm, then you can go into acquisition straightforward, acquire an existing firm, and use that firm to now distribute your product or provide your services. Again, you may go into joint venture with a firm that is already operating there. These are some of the options that are available to you. Then another deciding factor is control. If you want something that you want to have full control over in that emerging market, then you are not going to look at exporting or just looking for an agent or somebody to distribute on your behalf. Then you are going into maybe greenfields. You are going to a wholly owned subsidiary or something that you have full control over, so that you can make all the decisions and you have full control over the business. You can also acquire majority stake in an existing firm. So if you're a majority shareholder, then it means you have a lot of control and you can take decisions that you want. At that point, you are very sure that you have gained market acceptability and the conditions are favorable to you. Another deciding factor will be capital constraints. If you have enough money or the business requires a lot of money in that country and you do not have the money, and or you are careful not to invest so much from the beginning, then you would have to focus on OPEX over CAPEX. So what you do is to look for maybe digital first or cross-border services or products, so that you can take advantage of technology and provide services across national borders, which will not require a lot of physical investment in terms of having your physical presence in that country. That will save you some money, save you some risk from some risk. You manage the risk until conditions are favorable for you to move your physical presence, or you license a firm in that country, go into a licensing arrangement for a firm that is already operating there to do business on your behalf, or you can also explore the distributorship. Then in terms of regulation, which is also another deciding factor, you have to look at whether you are prepared to comply with all the regulations in that market you are looking at. And that will require you, the most favorable thing at this point is to look for a local partner. Once they are credible, they are already complying with the regulations, they know how to go around their business in that economy. It makes life easier for you. So you partner them either through joint ventures or just strategic alliances, and then it will make things easier for you. So you don't just get up and say, I am going into this country because I've heard businesses that are doing well. You need to assess your own situation vis-a-vis the dynamics of that market and take count of all these deciding factors. And this will help you to know which of the entry modes and strategies you need to adopt in going into that market. Let's move on, please. So in terms of creating a brand loyalty in these new markets, you should establish trust with cultural sensitivity. In doing business across national borders, one key element that you cannot ignore is culture, because culture plays a key role in international business. So brands that demonstrate cultural sensitivity are more likely to earn consumer trust and loyalty. You are not going there to change anybody's culture. You need to first understand that we are created differently. We have different approaches to doing things. Tastes and preferences differ. Our ways of doing business will differ from the country you are looking at. So first thing is to respect the culture of that country you are looking at, and then be sensitive to their culture, respect them. It will be easier for you if you tailor business solutions that complement the culture of that country. So I teach a course, international business and cross-cultural management. And in my research, I came across an old case sometime back when Nokia was trying to enter the Arab world. What they did was to create something like an app and devices that will help the people to know which direction to face to pray whenever they are in doubt or they travel and they don't know where to pray. Such products complements the beliefs of the people and their religion and their tradition. So you will realize that in that case, sales will be easier for you. They will like your business model. Instead of going to criticize their culture and say, in my country, we do things this way. Why do you do it this way? You are telling them simply that you are not on the same page, so you cannot do business with them. That is the implication. So you need to utilize local influencers also for credibility. Look for credible influencers within that market that you can use. And once they see the people they can relate with, people they are familiar with, promoting your business, it makes things easier for you. You need to build community-based loyalty programs to help you advance. And then you need to also, in addition to respecting the culture, pay attention to the significance of storytelling in your branding. Crafting brand stories that resonate with the local values of the people can go a long way to deepen the emotional connections that they have with your product or your business. Let's move on. So, cultural intelligence, relationship-driven selling, you need to study the culture of the people, build a strong relationship with them, and that will help you sell faster. Also look at negotiation norms. In some high and low context cultures, dynamics will differ. In some cultures, when they say yes, it means I hear you. It doesn't mean I agree with you. So you need to study these norms and values in those contexts to understand what they really mean before you, especially when you are negotiating business deals. You need to also pay closer attention to ethics and compliance because ethical standards vary. So if you are moving into a market, you need to pay attention to the ethical standards there and make sure you don't do anything that is considered unethical. Example, gift giving versus corruption. In a particular context, giving gift to people is normal, it's acceptable. In another context, giving gift to people may be perceived as a corrupt practice. So you need to understand the dynamics of that environment so that you know what exactly you have to do. You don't go because in your country, anybody can give gift to anybody. So you go and before you start business, you are sharing gift to people. If that is not acceptable within their context, then they may mistake you to mean that you are trying to corrupt them or bribe them. Let's move on. So what are the winning tips in emerging markets, and who are those winning in emerging market? Mass market scale. Those who are targeting mass markets are winning. Generic products that will appeal to a number of people at a time. But however, if your product requires a niche strategy, you would have to segment the market and create a niche product for those who require that and are ready to pay for it. Again, financial inclusion is key, and then resilient assets. So currently, mass market is driving about 40% of the business in emerging markets. Financial inclusion is driving about 10 million plus, and then resilient assets are driving about 15% of these markets. Let's move on. So what are the key takeaways? First thing, localize deeply. Make sure you tailor your products and services to meet the specific needs of the particular market you are targeting. Partner smartly. Don't just partner because you have to partner a firm. Look for firms that are credible, they have good names, they are doing well, they have the financial capability, ethical ability, integrity, and they are the ones who complement you. Those that already have distribution channels or they have a customer base that you can rely on. Again, you need to discover and validate. Look for what is happening, validate your claims, try to test the market, and then you scale gradually and grow as you move on. These are the strategies that will help you to grow in emerging markets. I will pause here. I know you have a lot of questions. We have limited time, so I've tried to compress it, but let's take your questions now and then we'll address them. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Doc, for that insightful presentation. Thank you so much. And I know that our listeners have also benefited a lot from your presentation. Okay, so we want to, before we switch into our Q&A session, we will take an ad, and after we come back, we will take questions from the comment section. You can see some questions in the comment section. So we'll quickly take an ad and then come back to take some questions from the comment section.
want to officially welcome you all to the Institute of Leadership and Strategy, and where we are passionate about developing leaders and corporate executives. And so once again, you're officially welcome to the Institute of Leadership and Strategy.
How do you build a complete institution of the sort and resign from it? And I always remind them, stepping back is part of leadership.
All I want to say is that we don't take these decisions arbitrarily or based on intuition.
I felt very included in today's discussions. The lecturer today was also very exciting, very innovative, and he definitely kept the class alive.
The orientation, the delivery has been perfect, and I am so excited.
Naturally, systems are evolving, organizations are evolving, and you cannot afford to remain static. You need to be strategic in your approach in solving problems.
The first day has been very impressive. I've met a number of people already. I think that this environment creates the right opportunity to network with people of like-mindedness and also, connect business-wise.
Distinguished executive strategy leaders, industry captains, and of course, fellow professionals, we would like to warmly welcome all of you. In our traditional parlance, we say Akwaba. Tonight, it's not just an inauguration of an association, but we are activating a movement, a movement that will dictate the pace and the direction of this country and the continent as a whole.
Great.
This evening is a rest.
All right, so welcome back from that brief ad. We can see some comments in the comment section already. We're having some questions here. And so just as we promised at the beginning that we'll be engaging our speaker with your questions, and we'll quickly delve into the Q&A session where we'll take your questions and then engage the speaker for him to address before we wrap up for today. All right, so I'll take the first question from William Dachumo. William wants to know, can you please tell how a firm can quickly get funding to support its operations in the foreign country? I'll take that again. Can you please tell how a firm can quickly get funding to support its operations in the foreign country? So, Doc, over to you, please.
Hi, thank you for the question, William. Now, it depends on the business model. But the first thing I want to say is that before a firm takes a decision to internationalize, that is, go beyond the shores of your country, you need to do your own internal assessment. And the first thing you need to do, whether you have the financial capability, because doing business internationally requires a lot of financial investment. You are going to start from the scratch and you need a lot of money, even if you are going to build on an existing firm. Forex transactions will occur that will require you to have much money depending on the rates involved. But if there are ways by which you can explore funding, we have what we call push and pull factors for internationalization. I mentioned earlier during the presentation that look at the national development agenda of the country you're looking at. And if it's something that your business can connect with, then there may be some opportunities in there. So if you require maybe $100 million to go in there, and there are some incentives for foreign firms operating, you may save yourself some money. That is funding in disguise. In Ghana, for instance, we have the free zone enclave. And if you are coming as a foreign firm to operate in that enclave, you have some tax holidays for a number of years. That saves you some money that will support your expansion. Other than that, the nature of your business will determine what you do. So the leadership of the country or of the company would have to explore why you want to go international first, because there are various objectives. Is it to expand your market share? Is it to take advantage of certain advantages that are there, certain opportunities? Is it the fact that you have saturated your local market and you have excess capacity, so you want to look elsewhere? All of these will determine how you position yourself. So there is no specific go-to place that will say, go here and get money. But it depends on what you want to achieve. We have businesses that we call the born globals. The nature of their services are such that right from day one, they are able to serve people across national borders. They would not need huge capital. If your business is tech-based, you can develop a software that SMEs will need in various countries. Right from that day, you become an international, a global firm. You'll be serving people. So in that case, you wouldn't have to look for money to go there physically. With a little you have from your base, you can start, and then when you grow, or when you make much more money, you can then move your physical presence there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Doc. And we hope that William's question has been answered and he's okay. We'll move to the next question quickly. Richmond Otu says, in my organization, management doesn't want to give the local influencers, but management doesn't want to involve the local influencers, but focuses on their country market trend. What should I do as an HR manager?
Right. Thank you for the question, Richmond. It depends on what the company's values are, because values are key. Every company has its own values that they cherish and try to guard. I don't know the reason why they don't want to use local influences. Is it the case that they don't identify with their style or their values. Because I consulted for a firm recently that says this particular influencer has a lot of following and is doing fantastic things, but we are not ready to do it with him because his lifestyle and the things he has been involved in are contrary to the values that we stand for as a firm. For that reason, we are not ready to bring him on board. So try to interrogate or engage your leadership. They may have reason why they want to do away with local influences. That one we cannot tell. But if what they are doing currently is working, then if it's not broken, there's no need to fix it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's also an interesting one here from Sarah Mdeku. It says, could you provide an insight into the strategic barriers that prevented Glo from replicating its Nigerian success within the Ghanaian telecom market? And then, given its dominant position as a market leader in Nigeria, why did it struggle to achieve similar penetration in a smaller emerging market like Ghana?
Thank you for the question, Sairam. Glo, yes, we know they didn't do well in Ghana. The reasons we may not be able to tell what the specific reasons are because, as you mentioned, Glo is a giant in Nigeria, and the Ghanaians and Nigerians share common characteristics when it comes to market dynamics. We share a lot of things in common. So you see that businesses that are doing well in Ghana and Nigeria, they're able to cross borders and they do well. So given that, then you expect Glo to be able to do well. Look at the number of Nigerian banks operating in Ghana and doing so well. But the question is, why are they not doing well? Or why did they struggle? There could be some reasons that we are not privy to. Things were said, and I cannot use those ones as a response to you because I have not validated them. There were claims of political alignment and all those things. And that is why I told you that study the culture of the environment when you are going, look at the political dynamics, the cultural dynamics, the ethical dynamics. If you go and align with a particular tradition and things change, it may make life difficult for your business. These ones have not been validated, so we cannot use them as responses. I'm just mentioning them as some of the things that were said. So we may need to do a case study on Glo. I have not done that. We may need to do a case study on Glo to get an insight into the specific reasons why they didn't do it. Because given all the circumstances, Glo should have done well in Ghana. Given their capabilities and everything, they should have done well in Ghana. But it just happened that they couldn't succeed in Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you. A couple of questions still coming in. So we'll take one more for Doc, and then we'll also handle the rest. William Dachumo wants to know, can you please tell how a firm can quickly get funding to support its operations in the foreign country? Can you please tell how a firm can quickly get
We have
funding?
addressed that question already. That was the first question we addressed.
Okay, and I think William came back again with that question. Okay. Okay, so we'll take Richmond and then would. So he says in my organization, I think that has also been addressed
Has been
already.
addressed.
Yes, for
I
Richmond.
think we can take Abdurrahman.
Yes, Abdulman, who says, please, what is most driving volatility right now in the market liquidity, rates, earnings, or geopolitics? Yes, from Abdulrahman.
So, Rahman, thank you. It depends on the region again, because we have Asia Pacific, Latin America, Middle East, Africa, and all those dynamics involved. If you take the global perspective currently, geopolitics is also one of the key things. Now there are power blocks everywhere. Even in Ghana, the reality is that if you are operating in Ghana, we have gone to the extent that we say this one is NDC business, this one is NPP business. We have even successfully translated that into the church. We say this prophet is NDC prophet, that prophet is NPP prophet. That is how serious the thing is. So globally, this political things also play a key role. It's one of the driving volatility factors. And the advice is that when you are moving into any market, any foreign country, be careful about which political tradition you align with. The good thing is to remain neutral. And even if you decide to align, then you should align properly based on what is available to you in terms of information, because you don't know what will happen. If you are going into a market where change of government is just 5% probability of occurring, then when you're aligning with a particular government, you know that this government may not change anytime soon, then that will be a safer zone for you. But if you are going into a democratic state where change can occur anytime, the best thing for you will be to stay neutral, because the moment you align politically and there's a change of government, you will be in trouble. You will be perceived as an ally of the previous government, and your business will suffer. And we have seen even in this country how businesses have suffered because of political affiliations. Rates are also one of the factors. All the factors you have listed are part of, however, the dynamics of the region and the specific country would determine which one is more prominent or dominant. If you go to places where there's political instability, then geopolitics and very likely rates, because in such environments, the forex rates are also volatile. If you go to a more stable environment, the rates are more stable, liquidity, and then the geopolitical factors will be minimal. So it depends again on where you are going. That is why I mentioned in the presentation that you need a lot of research on the particular country you are going to. So in global market opportunity assessment, there are 6 factors involved. And one of such factors is to zero in on the particular country you are looking at, because their dynamics will be different. We said, yes, target a region. You may target West Africa because there are things that we may all consume in common. But which country in West Africa do you want to start with? Ghana, Nigeria, wherever. You need to look at that specific country and study the dynamics within that country. You look at all the factors, not just one factor. This will give you a broader view or perspective of how things in that country, and that will help you to make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doc. We have a couple of questions in, but that's concerning the next cohort of our strategy course, which I'll be announcing soon. And so I'll address that question when I'm announcing that. But thank you so much, Doc, for your time with us. We don't take it for granted at all. Thank you for such an insightful presentation. And we can get a lot of comments coming in that they are so excited about your presentation. And so thank you so much for sharing your insights and knowledge with us. We are deeply grateful. All right, so I want to take a few announcements and then we close for today. The first is to address the first question from Joy Yaira. She's asking that she wanted some info on our certified strategy program and the leadership program. All right, so for our certified strategy professional course, which the next cohort is starting on the 28th of February, that's next week, Saturday, 28th of February for in-person, and then 1st of March for online participants. It runs for 8 weeks. We have both the in-person and then the online option. You can either choose to do either in-person or online every weekend, depending on your availability. So we do not restrict you to a particular option. Every weekend you choose which option to go for. And the next cohort is starting 28th February. If you want to register, you want to know how to register, you can kindly contact our hotline, which is 0244 268672. 0244 268672. That's for the certified strategy professional. And you must clearly be in a managerial position to take this course. And so once you contact our hotline, our admissions team would answer to you and give you all the details and information that you need to know. But kindly do so immediately because we do not have a deadline for registration. But once the class size is full, we don't take registrations again. So you want to do so quickly before we close registration. All right. So for our executive leadership program as well, Joy wants to know, it's a 5-day intensive executive leadership training, and it's 5 days, and it's also for managers and executives. It's Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. each day. It also has the in-person and then the online option, and which is also free for you. You can decide which option to go for every day. You decided to take the in-person or the online option every time. And you also for that program as well, if you want to have more information, once you contact our hotline, which is 0244 268672. We'll give you all the information and we'll register you for the executive leadership program. And that is coming up from the 9th of March. It's coming up from the 9th of March. And so you want to register and be a part of the managers and executives who have already registered to be in the class. All right, so that's it for our Certified Strategy Professional course and our Executive Leadership program. If you still want more information, we'll not be able to take all your questions and answer all of them here. So you can direct all your questions or all your inquiries to our hotline, and I'll take it for the last time, 0244 268672. You can direct all your inquiries to that number concerning our Certified Strategy Professional course, especially our strategy course, because what Dr. Segler just took us through is one of the key things that will be discussed strategy program. And so you want to go into details and into depth knowledge of what we just discussed, you want to join our Certified Strategy Professional course just to get more insights and get your questions answered. All right. Okay, so you also want to follow us on social media, and we are very active on social media across all platforms. Institute of Leadership and Strategy. The social media handle is ILS Executive. We are active on Instagram. We are active on LinkedIn, Facebook, on TikTok. We are active. You can follow us and get updates on all our upcoming programs, all our upcoming trainings. You can get updates on that. Even this webinar, which comes off once every month, once you follow us on social media, once it's upcoming, you get an update, and then you can register to be a part of this. We are also located at East Legon, just behind GT Bank. We are on the Bathurst Street, Menswick Hotels Church. We are behind GT Bank, East Legon. Once you even key in Institute of Leadership and Strategy on Google Map, it will bring you here. If you also want to see us in person, to interact with us and get to know more, you can come here. Our doors are open to receive you as well. So thank you all so much for joining today's webinar, and we hope that it has been insightful and very educative to you all as well. And we hope that we will pick a few things to go live in our various organizations and fields. And so thank you all so much. Thank you for joining the February edition. We'll meet you again same time in the March edition as well. So thank you, and it's bye for now.
We want to officially welcome you all to the Institute of Leadership and Strategy. and where we are passionate about developing leaders and corporate executives. And so once again, you're officially welcome to the Institute of Leadership and Strategy.
How do you build a complete institution of the sort and resign from it? And I always remind them, stepping back is part of leadership.
All I want to say is that we don't take these decisions arbitrarily or based on intuition.
I felt very included in today's discussions. The lecturer today was also very exciting, very innovative, and he definitely kept the class alive.
The orientation, the delivery has been perfect, and I am so excited.
Naturally, systems are evolving, organizations are evolving, and you cannot afford to remain static. You need to be strategic in your approach in solving problems.
The first day has been very impressive. I've met a number of people already. I think that this environment creates the right opportunity to network with people of like-mindedness and also, connect business-wise.